If you're someone with cholesterol difficulties, there's no doubt that you've been told to cut out eggs completely from your diet at some point or another. Indeed, eggs are among the top 5 food sources that comprise the bulk of the average person's dietary cholesterol levels. But the evidence and up-to-date recommendations suggest that this isn't nearly as much of a problem as often put forward. Therefore, today we'll be discussing this. But first, as always, please take note of our disclaimer. To get to the core of this common misconception, we need to understand cholesterol a bit better. Contrary to popular belief, not all of it is bad. We actually need it for many essential bodily functions, such as digesting foods, producing hormones like estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol, and keeping our organs working best. Dietary cholesterol is exclusively found in animal foods like meat, dairy, eggs, fish, and seafood. But we don't just get it from animals. Our liver produces it too. In fact, we typically make about 3/4 of our cholesterol ourselves. We only get the remaining 1/4 from food. It's also worth pointing out that apart from diet, cholesterol levels are determined by body weight, genetics, and physical activity levels too. Cholesterol is commonly divided into two kinds: low density lipoprotein, or LDL, and high density lipoprotein, or HDL. The LDL cholesterol is referred to as the bad type since it can invade your artery walls and cause atherosclerosis, which is the buildup of fatty deposits in arteries. This restricts blood flow and can potentially lead to high blood pressure, stroke, cardiovascular disease, and even premature death. On the other hand, HDL cholesterol is known as the good because it picks up excess bad cholesterol in your blood and takes it back to your liver, where it's broken down and removed from your body. Indeed, some refute this distinction and say that all cholesterol is good. It just ends up doing harmful things due to several other factors. Nevertheless, to keep things simple, we'll stick to how it's usually described and get to this in a future video. Now that we understand cholesterol a bit more in depth, why are eggs often assumed to be undesirable when it comes to it? Well, many say it's because they negatively influence bad cholesterol levels, which is true since studies have found that eggs cause an increase in them, albeit slightly. However, eggs have also been found to raise good cholesterol levels. And since the good type picks up the excess bad type and removes it from the body, this is likely to keep things steady. For example, a 2020 study looked at data from 177,000 people spanning 50 countries and found no significant link between egg intake and cholesterol levels, death rates, or major cardiovascular disease events. Another reason eggs have been thought to be bad for cholesterol levels comes down to the overall amount of dietary cholesterol that they contain, which is about 186 milligrams per large egg. Juxtapose this with previous recommendations from the Dietary Guidelines for Americans, which advise 300 milligrams at most per day for dietary cholesterol and 200 milligrams if someone was at a higher risk of heart problems, and it's not hard to see why the cholesterol quantity in eggs has been viewed poorly. In the last number of years though, the view of dietary cholesterol has changed. So much so that the limits advised for it have been removed by the Dietary Guidelines for Americans. This is because the current literature doesn't show an appreciable relationship between the consumption of dietary cholesterol and the amount of cholesterol in your blood. That might sound funny at first, but the levels of cholesterol we get from food don't directly equate to levels of it in the blood. When we consume too much dietary cholesterol, the body responds by producing less. Conversely, when we intake too little, the opposite occurs. So our body's production of cholesterol will adjust to try to keep things balanced. The American Heart Association suggests it's better to shift your dieting efforts towards reducing your intake of saturated and trans fat. The reason is that bad fats stimulate your liver to make more cholesterol than it would normally, which again is the source that's responsible for most of our blood cholesterol. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans advise replacing these sources of bad fats with good unsaturated ones as often as possible, but still say that dietary cholesterol be kept as low as possible, especially for people with certain health conditions. So while eggs aren't as much of a problem for our cardiovascular system as is frequently believed, we still need to keep them in moderation. Further, it's advised to intake sufficient amounts of dietary fibre, since this can also help lower cholesterol. Women should aim for 25 grams of fibre, while men should aim for 38 grams daily. Interestingly, Solomon 2018 proposes that what might have partially led to limits placed on dietary cholesterol in the first place could be because foods generally high in it are also high in bad fats. For instance, per 100 grams, beef has 99 milligrams of cholesterol and 29.5 grams of saturated fat. Cheese has 107 milligrams of cholesterol and 19.64 grams of saturated fat. And butter has 214 milligrams of cholesterol and 50 grams of saturated fat. As a result, this could have misrepresented data from previous research articles investigating the cause of cardiovascular incidents, making it seem like dietary cholesterol was the main culprit, when it could have been bad fat. On a side note, if you're interested in undertaking our evidence-based and results-backed personalised Plato weight management program, please click the link in the top right-hand corner of the video or follow the link in the description. Yet, unlike their high cholesterol counterparts, our large egg only has 2 grams of saturated fat. To put this into context, the dietary guidelines for Americans recommend limiting saturated fat to 10% or less of your overall calories daily. That means the average woman with a maintenance calorie intake of 2,000 calories could eat 22 grams of saturated fat per day, and for the average man with 2,500 calories, 28 grams. However, you'll most likely want to keep saturated fat much lower than this if you're on a weight loss diet or, again, have some relevant medical considerations. Anyway, this just goes to show how you could have 2 or even 3 eggs over the course of a day and still be well in range, as long as you're keeping sources high in saturated fat, like outlined above, in line. Moreover, with all this talk of the potential negative aspects of eggs towards health, we mustn't forget that there are also many positives. After all, they are a very convenient, affordable and nutrient-dense food source. One large 50-gram egg contains 1.83 grams of monounsaturated fat and 0.96 grams of polyunsaturated fat, aka the good fats, 6.28 grams of protein, 0.36 of carbs, and only 72 calories. On top of all this, they're a great source of choline, vitamin A, folate, phosphorus, and calcium, among others. So, to conclude, including eggs in moderation isn't going to harm the average person's health. Quite the opposite, if truth be told. But for others with special medical considerations, you should speak to your doctor about this first. If you're battling high cholesterol levels, focus on changing foods high in bad fat to ones with healthy fat and getting enough fibre daily. Other ways to help reduce cholesterol levels are weight loss, cutting back on alcohol or cigarettes if you do in fact drink or smoke, and being regularly physically active. What's your thoughts on eggs and cholesterol? We'd love to hear from you in the comments section down below. Additionally, if you're new here, make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. So, that has been our video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.